The Last Dance. My name is Sophia. I am 30 years old. I teach people how to dance. Dancing is my life. It is movement and sound. It is joy. My husband is Leo. He is a lawyer. Leo is 32. His life is stillness and silence. His life is the office. We live in a nice apartment. It is quiet here. Too quiet now. Our marriage feels like an old song. The music stopped playing long ago. We just stand in the silent room. I remember the start. We met at a salsa class. Leo tried to move his feet. He was bad, but he laughed. We danced every night then. Now, Leo comes home late. He eats dinner while looking at his laptop. He says, "How was your day?" He does not wait for the answer. I say, "Fine." He says, "Good." Then he goes back to his work. This is our routine now. This routine is cold. It is a slow freeze. I want to break the ice. I want the music back. I want my husband back. I miss the sound of his laughter. I miss the feeling of his hand on my waist. I miss our first dance. I miss the heat. I look at myself in the mirror. I see a dance instructor. I see energy. I see movement. But when I look into my eyes, I see sadness. I see a woman waiting for something that will not come. We have no children. Our apartment is beautiful but empty. It is filled with expensive furniture and Leo's important legal books. It is not filled with life. It is not filled with shared joy. Leo loves his work more than anything. He loves the challenge. He loves the stress. I think he loves the distance from me. I feel like an object sometimes. I'm part of the furniture he bought years ago. I am just there. I decided I needed to fight for us. I needed a big action. I planned a weekend getaway. This was my grand plan. This was my last dance for our marriage. I found a small cabin far away. It was near the ocean. The website showed pictures of big waves and quiet beaches. There was no cell phone service. This was important. No work calls could reach him there. I booked it for Friday night to Sunday evening. I used my savings for the best cabin. I wanted everything to be perfect. I wanted Leo to forget about his clients and his court dates. I wanted him to remember me. I spent weeks preparing. I bought new clothes. I bought a red dress. It was the color of passion. It was the color of our early love. I bought nice wine. I made a special playlist. It had all the songs from our first year together. I packed a small, elegant suitcase. I hid the suitcase in my closet. I did not tell Leo the location yet. I wanted it to be a surprise. I wanted him to feel excitement. I wanted him to feel spontaneity. I remember hiding the reservation papers in a drawer under my socks. I felt like a secret agent. I felt hope. Hope is a heavy weight sometimes. I told Leo about the plan on a Tuesday night. He was eating chicken and reading a document. I sat next to him. I put my hand on his arm. He did not look up immediately. His skin felt cool under my fingers. "Leo," I said softly, "I planned something for us." He sighed slightly. It was a tired sound. "Is it important, Sophia?" I have the Miller brief due. I took a deep breath. I smiled a big, fake smile. It is very important. It is a weekend trip, just us. Friday to Sunday, no work, no phones, just the ocean. He finally looked at me. His eyes were tired. They were not angry, but they were distant. They looked like he was still reading the legal text in his head. A trip? This weekend? Sophia, I don't know. His immediate answer was no. It was not a clear no, but the sound of hesitation was loud in our quiet kitchen. Please, Leo, I begged. It is important for us. We need this time. We haven't had real time in months. I booked a cabin by the sea. It is paid for. I tried to make the cabin sound magical. I tried to make the sea sound necessary. He looked at the calendar on the wall. He did not look at me. I can try. I have a lot of work. Friday is tough. Maybe Saturday morning? I shook my head gently. No. Friday night, we need the full time. We need to leave after your office closes. Please tell your assistant no appointments for the weekend. He rubbed his temples. He was silent for a long moment. Okay, Sophia. I will try. Don't promise anything, but I will try to make it work. I will try. Those words felt like a weak promise. They felt like a loose knot, but I held on to them. I decided to believe him. I needed to believe him. The rest of the week was torture. Every time his phone rang, my stomach twisted. Every time he stayed late, I felt the hope shrinking. I continued my preparations. I baked his favorite cookies for the drive. I found a book of romantic poems. I cleaned the apartment perfectly, as if preparing for a new life. I tried to show him that I was serious. This was not a small request. This was everything. Thursday arrived. I taught my dance classes. I told my students I felt happy. I told them I felt free. I was lying. I felt fragile. I felt like glass. I went home early. Leo was already there. This was unusual. He was sitting at the dining table. The table was covered in papers. He did not look up. He had 4 empty coffee mugs next to his computer. The air smelled like old coffee and stress. You are home early, I said, trying to sound cheerful. Yes, he muttered. Big case. Big problems. I walked over and started clearing the mugs. I touched his shoulder. He flinched slightly. Not in a bad way, but in a distracted way. Like a horse bothered by a fly. Remember tomorrow, Leo. The cabin. The sea. We leave at 6. He stopped typing. He took off his glasses. He looked at me with those tired eyes again. Sophia, I don't think I can leave at 6. I really might have to stay until 9 or 10. This client is demanding. We might lose everything if I don't finish this brief. My heart sank. 9 or 10 meant arriving late. Arriving late meant stress. Stress meant no romance. I forced myself to remain calm. Okay, 10 is fine. We will eat dinner on the road. Just come home when you can. I will have the car packed, he nodded, already putting his glasses back on. Thank you, Sophia. You are the best. I will try to be fast. He did not look relieved. He looked trapped. I felt trapped too. Friday morning came. I woke up early. I felt a nervous energy. I taught my morning class. I told my students to feel the music. I tried to feel the music myself. I hurried home at noon. Leo was already gone. His side of the bed was cold. I saw a small note on the kitchen counter. It was written on a yellow sticky note. It just said, "Urgent meeting, back late. Love." No mention of the trip. No mention of the cabin. No mention of me. I packed the red dress. I packed the wine. I packed the music player. I put the suitcase by the front door. The suitcase looked lonely. It looked hopeful. I waited. I waited all afternoon. I cleaned the apartment again. I checked the reservation papers 20 times. I looked at the little map. The cabin was 3 hours away. We needed to leave soon. 6 o'clock passed. The sun started to go down. I sat on the sofa. I looked at the silent phone. I did not call him. I felt that if I called him, I would break the fragile hope. I waited for him to call me. 7 o'clock. 8 o'clock. The apartment grew dark. I did not turn on the main lights. I lit 2 small candles. I wanted a soft atmosphere. I wanted him to walk into warmth. I wanted him to feel the invitation. I put on the playlist. The old songs started playing. They sounded sad now. They sounded like ghosts of happiness. I remembered dancing to this song in the rain. I remembered the feeling of being truly loved. I remembered Leo smiling, truly smiling. That man was gone now. 9 o'clock. My stomach hurt. I was hungry, but I could not eat. I did not want to eat alone. I sat on the floor next to the suitcase. I hugged my knees. I closed my eyes and listened to the music. I tried to imagine the sound of the ocean waves. I tried to imagine Leo holding me. The sounds of the city were louder than the music. The silence in the apartment was deafening. It was a silence filled with disappointment. At 10:15, the phone finally rang. It was not a normal ring. It was a harsh, loud sound in the quiet room. I jumped up. I ran to the counter. I looked at the screen. It was Leo. I took a slow breath and answered, "Hello?" My voice sounded strange. It sounded too eager. "Sophia." "Listen, I am so sorry." His voice was rushed. It was the voice he used when talking to his assistant. It was the lawyer voice. It was not the husband voice. I am absolutely stuck. I cannot leave. I physically cannot leave the office. We found a critical error in the contract. I have to pull an all-nighter. The client is flying in at dawn. He spoke fast, rushing through the excuses. He sounded stressed, but he did not sound sad about canceling. I held the phone tight. I felt the red dress and the beach disappearing. I felt the hope drain out of my body. "Leo," I said, my voice shaking slightly, "you promised. I planned this for weeks. I need you." "We need this." I tried to put all my desperation into those few words. There was a pause. A long pause. I heard papers shuffling on his end. I heard a keyboard clicking. He was working while talking to me. "I know, Sophia. I am truly sorry. I will make it up to you next month. I promise." But this is an emergency, a real emergency. You know my job. I knew his job. His job was always the emergency. His job was always more important than me. His job was the priority. I closed my eyes. I felt a cold, final realization settle over me. This was not about a missed weekend. This was about the end. This was the moment I stopped fighting. This was the moment the music truly stopped. "Leo," I said. My voice was suddenly calm. It was flat. It was the calm of surrender. The cabin is paid for. I packed everything. The red dress is waiting. The wine is chilled. I waited for 4 hours. I stated the facts simply. I did not yell. I did not cry. "I know, honey. Just go anyway. Go with a friend. Enjoy the sea. I will send you money for the inconvenience." The suggestion felt like a slap. Go alone. Go with someone else. Just remove yourself from my busy life. The thought of him offering money for my broken heart was the final straw. "No, Leo. I will not go alone. I will not go with a friend." I looked at the suitcase sitting by the door. It looked pathetic now. I planned this for us, for our marriage. This was important to me. This was vital. I understand. But I have to go now. The team is waiting. I will call you tomorrow morning. I love you. He did not wait for my reply. He hung up. Click. The line went dead. I stood in the silent living room. The candle flickered. The music continued to play, but it was just noise now. I did not move for a long time. I just stared at the phone. He said, "I love you," but love does not look like that. Love does not hang up the phone. Love does not choose work every single time. Love does not leave you waiting in the dark. I walked slowly to the stereo and turned off the music. The silence returned. This time it was a heavy, permanent silence. I picked up the red dress from the suitcase. I held it against my body. It was beautiful. It was wasted. I folded it neatly and put it back. I folded the reservation papers and put them in the trash can. The trip was over before it started. The hope was dead. I went into the bedroom. I looked at Leo's side of the closet. His suits hung in perfect rows. Everything was neat. Everything was ordered. His life was structured. My life felt messy now. I realized I could not force him to dance with me. I could not force him to feel the rhythm of our life. I had tried everything. I had danced alone for too long in this marriage. I sat on the edge of the bed. This was the last dance. The dance of realization. I knew what I had to do. The pain was sharp, but the clarity was immediate. I needed to leave. I needed to move forward. I needed to dance alone again, but this time willingly. I stood up. I took my biggest suitcase from the storage shelf. It was the suitcase I used when I traveled for dance competitions before I met Leo. It was big and black. It was strong. I started packing my own clothes. I packed my dance shoes. I packed my favorite books. I did not pack the expensive jewelry Leo had given me. I only packed the things that were truly mine. The process was quiet and methodical. I was not angry anymore. I was just determined. I was a dancer finding her footing again. I was moving with purpose. I packed for 2 hours. I looked around the apartment one last time. It was beautiful. It was Leo's apartment. It was not my home. My home was where the music was. I wrote a note. It was short. I put it on his pillow. I wrote, "Leo, I cannot wait for you to come home anymore." The music stopped. I am leaving to find my own rhythm again. I need to dance alone. Sophia. I did not write, "I love you." I did not write, "Goodbye." I just wrote the truth. It was almost midnight. I wheeled the heavy suitcase to the front door. It felt heavy with my past, but light with my future. I stopped at the door. I looked back at the living room. I saw the empty space where the hopeful small suitcase had sat. I felt a pang of loss for the man I married, but not for the man he became. I opened the door quietly. I stepped out into the night. The air was cool and crisp. I felt the freedom immediately. I felt the space around me. I walked down the long hallway of the quiet building. The sound of the wheels on the floor was the only noise. It was my own sound. I called a taxi. It arrived quickly. I put my suitcase in the trunk. I got into the back seat. "Where to?" the driver asked. I gave him the address of my old friend Maria, who also taught dance. She would understand. She would have an extra room. She would have music. As the taxi drove away from the building, I looked up at our apartment window. It was dark. Leo was still at the office. He was still choosing his work over his life. He was still choosing silence over music. I leaned my head against the window. I closed my eyes. I felt a tear run down my cheek. It was the last tear for the lost marriage. It was a tear of pain, but also a tear of relief. Tomorrow I would wake up in a new place. Tomorrow I would put on my dance shoes. Tomorrow I would find the courage to step onto the floor alone. I would start over. I would find my rhythm. I would dance. I realized that dancing alone was not a defeat. It was freedom. It was the first step of my new true life. I was Sophia, the dancer. The music was waiting for me. I was finally ready to move. I was finally ready to dance my own dance. The city lights blurred outside the taxi window. I took a deep breath. I felt the cold air fill my lungs. I was moving forward. I was not looking back anymore. I was going home to the dance floor. I would start my new life there. I would dance until I was happy again. I knew I could do it. I was strong. I was ready. If this story touched you, like the video and subscribe for more simple English stories.